Imagine a world where robots are everywhere, cooking our meals, driving our cars, caring for our elderly. Picture waking up to a home where machines anticipate your needs, where your morning coffee is brewed by a robotic barista, and your commute is handled by an autonomous vehicle. Robots aren't just in factories anymore, they're becoming part of our families, our workplaces, and our communities. This isn't science fiction, it's the world we're building right now. Every day, new advances bring us closer to a society where humans and intelligent machines coexist, collaborate, and even depend on each other. But with this power comes a crucial question. How do we ensure robots are a force for good? How do we prevent unintended harm and make sure these new companions act in our best interests? We're creating entities that can learn, adapt, and make decisions, far beyond simple tools. These machines are starting to understand context, interpret emotions, and even predict our needs. A single error or misinterpretation could have disastrous consequences. Imagine a robot misunderstanding a command or failing to recognize a dangerous situation. Lives could be at stake. We need more than good engineering. We need a framework, a digital conscience to guide their actions. It's not just about making robots smarter, but making them wiser, able to weigh right from wrong. The risks aren't just about robot uprisings, they're subtle, yet significant. Everyday misunderstandings, small mistakes, or overlooked details could have ripple effects we can't predict. Think of a robotic surgeon, making life or death decisions in the operating room, guided by algorithms and data. Or a self-driving car making split-second ethical choices on busy streets, weighing the safety of passengers and pedestrians alike. These aren't just technical problems, they're deep philosophical dilemmas. They force us to confront what we value most as a society, and how we define right and wrong in a world shared with intelligent machines. The stakes are too high to proceed without a plan. We must be thoughtful, deliberate, and united in our approach. So, where do we begin? How do we write the rulebook for a new form of intelligence? What principles should guide the minds of our creations? Fortunately, we're not the first to ask these questions. For generations, thinkers, scientists, and storytellers have grappled with the promise and peril of artificial beings. Long before the first microchip, a visionary writer imagined a future with robots and gave us a starting point. His stories explored not just what robots could do, but what they should do. He drafted a set of laws so powerful they've shaped our conversation about robotics for nearly a century. These laws became the foundation for how we think about robot ethics today. Our journey into the rules for robots begins not in a lab, but in the boundless realm of human imagination, where the future is written and where the story of our relationship with machines truly begins. Our story goes back to the 1940s, a time of great change in imagination, when the world was still reeling from war and dreaming of the future. In this era, Isaac Asimov emerged as a visionary, dreaming of robots not as cold, menacing machines but as partners, companions who could help humanity reach new heights, not monsters to be feared. Asimov saw both the incredible potential of intelligent machines and the dangers they might pose if left unchecked or misunderstood. To address these concerns, he crafted what would become the most famous ethical framework in all of science fiction: the Three Laws of Robotics, a set of rules that would shape the way we think about artificial intelligence for generations. The first law is clear and uncompromising. A robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. This law places human safety above all else. This is the bedrock of Asimov's vision. Robots must always protect humans no matter the circumstance. The second law states, a robot must obey the orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. This ensures that robots serve us, but never at the cost of our safety. Humans remain in charge, but robots are never allowed to follow orders that would cause harm. The third law, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. Robots can look after themselves, but only if it doesn't endanger people or disobey orders. Self-preservation is important for any being, but for robots, it always comes last in the hierarchy of priorities. These laws create a clear hierarchy: humanity first, obedience second, and self-preservation last. It's a simple structure, but one with deep consequences. Asimov's laws were elegantly simple, yet their implications were profound, sparking debates among scientists, ethicists, and storytellers alike. These rules transformed robots from potential threats into guardians, helpers, and tools, serving humanity in countless ways, but never allowed to become our enemies. The laws were designed to prevent robots from being weaponized or turning against us, a fear that lingered in the public imagination. They became the foundation for thinking about safe, ethical machines, inspiring generations of engineers and writers to imagine a future where humans and robots could coexist. But as we'll see, even these elegant rules have their limits, and the real world is often more complicated than fiction. The true challenge was not just in creating these laws, but in applying them to the messy, unpredictable reality of human life and technology. Asimov didn't just invent the three laws, he spent decades testing their limits in his stories. His fiction explored what happened when the laws failed or collided. What if a robot's definition of harm was too broad? What if protecting humanity meant harming an individual? In one story, a mind-reading robot lied to protect people's feelings, creating chaos. In another, robots took control to protect humanity from itself, a chilling, logical extension of the first law. Asimov's tales warned us, even well-intentioned rules can be twisted. The problem often came down to language and interpretation. Machines struggle with concepts like harm or inaction. What's obvious to us can be endlessly complex for them. Asimov's stories weren't solutions, they were provocations, urging us to think deeply about the ethics of AI. The three laws were a brilliant starting point, but not foolproof. They're a foundation, a first draft of a contract between humanity and its creations, and that contract is still being written today. For years, the three laws were just science fiction. Early robots were simple, no ethics needed, just an emergency stop button. But as technology advanced, Asimov's ideas began to influence real engineers. The three laws became an informal mission statement for robotics and AI. They inspired the field of human-robot interaction and shaped safety standards. Today, collaborative robots in factories slow down or stop to avoid harming humans, a direct echo of the first law. Surgical robots are packed with safety checks to protect patients. User interfaces are built on the principle of obedience, the second law. Even self-preservation shows up. Drones return home when batteries run low. Asimov's fictional code became a practical blueprint for real-world engineering. But as robots grow smarter, new challenges emerge. Today's robots are powered by AI and machine learning, not just programmed rules. They're no longer limited to following simple instructions. They can adapt, evolve, and even surprise us with their actions. This new generation of machines is capable of learning from experience just as humans do, and that makes them both powerful and unpredictable. Modern AI learns from data, making decisions in ways even its creators can't always predict. The more data it consumes, the more complex and mysterious its reasoning becomes. Sometimes even the engineers who built these systems struggle to understand why an AI made a particular choice. This unpredictability is the ghost in the modern machine. It's an invisible presence, an uncertainty that haunts every decision these systems make, lurking in the background of our increasingly automated world. How do you hard-code "do no harm" into a system that writes its own rules? The challenge is immense because these systems can rewrite their own logic, sometimes in ways we never intended or anticipated. AI can learn biases and toxic behaviors from flawed data, causing new kinds of harm. If the data is skewed, the AI's actions can be too, amplifying problems instead of solving them. We've seen chatbots go rogue and facial recognition systems show bias. These aren't just technical glitches, they're real-world failures that affect people's lives, sometimes in ways that are hard to fix. Our robots are now networked, learning from each other, creating new vulnerabilities. When one system makes a mistake, that error can quickly spread, multiplying the risks. A single flaw or hack can spread across thousands of machines. The consequences can be massive, affecting entire industries or even societies in a matter of moments. Asimov's laws were for individual robots, not global networks. They were written for a simpler time when robots were isolated and their actions were easy to predict. And robots aren't just physical anymore. Algorithms shape our news, finances, and opportunities. Invisible code now influences the choices we make every day, often without us even realizing it. These invisible machines can cause real harm without ever having a body. Their impact is everywhere, woven into the fabric of our digital lives, shaping society in subtle but profound ways. The three laws, focused on physical action, can't govern these powerful disembodied AIs. We need new ways to ensure safety and accountability in a world where machines act without form or face. The world has changed, and so must our rules. We're entering uncharted territory where old ideas are no longer enough to protect us. We need new principles for a new era. It's time to rethink what it means to build ethical, trustworthy machines that serve humanity. The question is, what should they be? As we look to the future, the answers we choose will shape not just our technology, but the very world we live in. Are the three laws enough? Almost certainly not. They were a brilliant first step, but today's world is far more complex. Concepts like harm and human are no longer simple. Self-driving cars face real-life trolley problems. No action is harmless. Robots need frameworks that can weigh outcomes and make ethical choices. Obedience is tricky too. Should a robot follow unethical orders? Some robots are meant to be disposable. Self-preservation isn't always needed. The rules must adapt to each machine's purpose. One-size-fits-all laws just don't work anymore. If the old laws fall short, what comes next? We need a new social contract for our machines, crafted by engineers, ethicists, lawmakers, and the public. First, transparency. Robots must explain their decisions, a law of clarity. Second, fairness. Robots must not create or perpetuate bias, a law of fairness. Third, authenticity. Robots must never deceive humans about their nature, a law of authenticity. Fourth, privacy. Robots must protect personal data, a law of data privacy. These new laws go beyond physical safety, addressing accountability, equity, and trust. They aim to make robots not just safe, but just and trustworthy partners. The challenge is to build technology that reflects our highest values. The rules we write for robots will shape the world we live in. The future of robotics is a test of our collective wisdom. Even with new laws, ethical dilemmas will arise. If a robot causes harm, who's responsible? The owner, the maker, the coder, or the AI itself? Our legal systems aren't ready for these questions. What if robots become conscious? Do they deserve rights? As robots take over jobs, how do we protect people's livelihoods? The biggest challenge: defining humanity's best interest. We must build AI partners, not overlords. Machines guided by compassion and respect for human dignity. The future demands not just smart machines, but moral ones. From science fiction to reality, Asimov's Three Laws sparked a global conversation. They shaped the soul of our machines, but today's world demands more. The challenges of AI bias, networked systems, and invisible algorithms require new principles. Crafting these rules is about defining our own values. The code we write for robots is a mirror, reflecting the society we hope to build. It's a task for philosophers, engineers, lawmakers, and artists, everyone. The story of robot rules is the story of our relationship with technology. The machines we build challenge us to be our best selves. The journey isn't over, the code is still being written, and the reflection we see in that silicon mirror is, and always will be, our own.